Hello, everybody. I wanted to read to you all something that I wrote last night because I have, in the past week or two, I've had a handful or two of people that I'm very close to, primarily clients, that have come to me with the same issue. And the issue is they're having a really hard time accepting themselves and their physical appearance. And it's something that on the outside seems really superficial, but when you get into it, it's not superficial at all. It's actually something that's very, very painful for people. And so I've been thinking about it a lot lately and how I can help to communicate something that's soothing for these people. And I just sat down last night and was just kind of brainstorming, and I wanted to make a video, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it with my notes that I made, and I know that YouTube videos are usually where you're not just reading off your computer, but for this one I'm going to. And I don't even know if I'm going to publish this for the public. It might just be for those few people. But regardless, please be patient with me. I'm just want to try to communicate something that might be helpful. I hope it's helpful to people. And if it's not, I'm sorry. And if it is, great. So I'm just going to read what I wrote, and hopefully this will be helpful. So I'm just going to read straight off of here. I wanted to make this video because I have been hurting so much lately about something that I want to talk to you all about. It's something that has worked itself into our society as a kind of psychological prison with profound personal, generational, and collective repercussions. And many are ready to know the truth and be set free from suffering. So recently, as I said, many of my clients and loved ones have come to me feeling crushed and ashamed of who they are because they cannot live up to the beauty standards of society and of the machine and of the world we currently live in. They feel beaten down and ashamed of their bodies and faces and person in general. All these beautiful people walking around hating on themselves. It's no wonder we have these fake, photoshopped, supposed perfect-looking entities that represent the quote standard for humans. These unattainable conditions that we're told we must meet in order to be loved and accepted into the human tribe. This isn't just vanity, but goes so much deeper than the external. It goes all the way into the human soul and into human nature itself. People are experiencing profound self-hatred and confusion. Self-hatred because they feel they're rejected by the clan, and confusion because in our souls we all know we are not meant to be condemned for existing exactly as we are, but instead celebrated. So in this video, I want to help to straighten out some confusion and misunderstandings about who and what we are around all of this. And it's a confusion that has plagued our planet for a very, very long time. We live in a world that from the time we're born, we've been plunged into a sea of programming. We're so easily controlled through impressions and images and thought control. We're told from birth that there are certain standards that we must attain, a certain way we must be in order to be accepted and loved. We're trained immediately from birth that we must please and conform to the world outside of us in order to be worthy of love at all. We're programmed to believe that our value is not intrinsic to just existing and being human, but is quite conditional. There's a whole slew of standards that we have been trained from infancy to believe is just natural to humans, such as we must behave in ways that make others feel good, even if it doesn't make us feel good. In fact, that makes us virtuous. Things like sitting still, not being too energetic as it's off-putting to adults, eating at prescribed times, and eating what and how much we are told to eat, rather than listening to our own beautiful and perfect body's needs. Sleeping when told to sleep, going to school, doing what the teachers say at the precise time in the precise way that they tell us, reacting immediately to the bell, being interrupted when we're thinking or speaking, as our thoughts and words take second seat to others, saying what feels comfortable to others rather than what we actually feel, believing what others tell us is true about ourselves and life and the universe regardless of what our own hearts have to say, dressing ourselves in ways that fit our assigned gender and the fashion trends that are being pushed by corporations and advertisers at any given moment, and physically fitting into certain molds that fit into the quote elite's agendas. We're programmed to believe that our purpose in life is to make others around us feel good, not ourselves, but others. We're taught that we do not have any personal sovereignty, but rather that we are here to do as we are told by our parents, teachers, television, advertisers, and most painfully, our peers, families, and those we believe love us, and the ones that we believe are on our team, so to speak. We're taught that others must feel good about how we look, what we say, what we believe, what we do with our lives, how we dress, how we live, what we do during our days, etc. We are programmed to believe that if we're not making others around us feel good, then we have no value. We're shameful and ought to feel guilty for existing. We're taught that our value is conditional. The condition is that our parents have to feel good, as well as our teachers, our friends, and the society at large. If others around us aren't feeling good, we get punished, shamed, and guilted until we cave in and become what others want us to be. Most do not feel any anger about this, but believe this is just reality, and thus ignore the suffering this brings and turn inward against themselves. This is because, this is really important, it's easier and safer to hate oneself than it is to hate something we believe we are powerless to change. I'm going to read it one more time. It's safer and easier to hate oneself than it is to hate something we believe we are powerless to change. And further, many feel shamed for allowing themselves to even contemplate the truth, let alone admit the truth. This has had the effect of creating a total surveillance society. Not necessarily surveillance by governments and billionaires, though that may be too, but most heart-wrenchingly by each other. We are trained from birth to survey each other, to be the eyes and ears of judgment. We micromanage, ridicule, mock, shame, look down on, seek approval from, size up, reject, and even accept based on judgment. And not just any judgment, but the judgment that we have been taught our whole lives by our parents, religion, the society at large, and most of all by advertising and the media. We are all both victims and perpetrators in this mess. We see this play itself out as early as in elementary school, where the children ridicule each other for being different. They laugh, shame, bully, demean, and cause great suffering to each other for no other reason than that on some level they believe that's what they're supposed to do because it's what they see modeled to them everywhere their entire lives. Sometimes we hear people say that kids are just mean, but that's not true. This isn't human nature, it's human conditioning. The children and all of us are only externalizing what we have experienced done to us our whole lives. We think it's normal to shame and judge and demean others because we've seen and experienced that done to us individually and as society for as long as we've been alive. Most people are so cut off from themselves that they don't even realize there's any other way to see the world and others. But as humans, one of our most critical needs is that of being accepted by our tribe and flowing love back and forth between each other in what's called connection and relationship. This is why we have so easily fallen into the surveillance trap, being each other's total surveillance for so long as a people. We believe that this is connection and relationship when truly it's the opposite. Further, it is hardwired into each of us to believe on a fundamental level that our value is conditional, that love is conditional, and that being part of the human tribe is conditional. Our experience has solidly been that we are only accepted if we follow the rules of a backward and some might say sociopathic society. However, because unconditional love and being a part of a tribe is actually our true nature, all humans suffer deeply from this programming. We will always crave love because that is the truth of who we are. We will always feel tormented by seeking love and acceptance, but only receiving conditions, judgments, and ultimatums as an answer. We are like a computer programmed against itself. Our hard drive is programmed against love and acceptance of all beings and instead toward judgment, condemnation, and shame. The result of this is a global society that is parched of life, meaning, wholeness, health, purpose, connection, tribe, and shared love. We have a whole world of humans seeking love because it is truly impossible for humans not to seek love, as love is the fuel of our beingness. And instead of receiving love, we receive criticism, shame, guilt, impossible standards, and hierarchies where the sociopaths sit at the top. But the greatest truth is that love is our true nature, and love is the opposite of judgment. In love, one lives in constant change, a constant flowering of the expression of one's internal nature. Love expresses itself freely. Love has eyes and heart wide open and wants to learn, see, understand, and grow. It doesn't define anything, but learns from all things. When somebody is in a state of love, when they look at another, they feel curiosity, an urge to learn, to be silent, and to listen. As the other organically expresses who they are, Love is ever living and growing. It is not stagnant, nor does it define or shame or guilt. It is the opposite of judgment. Love looks at all things with wonder and curiosity. Love wants to see, know, and understand. Love waits and watches as the other reveals itself. Love looks softly with curious and wonder-filled eyes. Love wants you to reveal who you are. Love does not have any preconceived idea of who or what you are or should be. Love does not need anybody or anything to be different than it is in order to feel good or to be fulfilled. Love is complete in and of itself and flows freely for all. Love wants all things to express themselves and to learn from their own expression. Love creates a safe space for you to discover who you are and waits eagerly for the flowering of that expression. When you truly look at somebody with the eyes of love, you do see their physical expression, their body mind, as that is a part of who they are and the way that they naturally express themselves. But you don't see flaws or anything you would want to change, but instead you look with curiosity and openness. You want to discover the nuances of who this person is. You want to know and see and understand what makes them tick, where they come from, how their mind works, what they enjoy, what moves them, how they feel on the inside, what they have lived in their life that has been their teacher for who they're becoming, their hopes and dreams, their most precious memories, every nuance about them. You experience a deep and profound desire to see the world and feel the world through their eyes. You want to feel as they feel and experience as they experience. In love, your pain is my pain and my pain is your pain. Your joy is my joy and my joy is your joy. In practice, this expresses itself as deep, active listening, waiting and wondering, never passing judgments or condemnations or even definitions. It's actively receiving. It is active receptivity. Because in truth, the universe and Mother Earth never make mistakes, and every being on this planet is fundamentally perfect and here for a specific purpose. We are truly like cells of a single organism, and for that organism to be healthy, each cell must be healthy. And for each cell to be healthy, it must be in full expression of its individuality. As the cell of an eye cannot be the cell of a hand, and the cell of a hand cannot be the cell of an eye, the cell of an eye must freely express itself as a thing that sees, so that the organism itself can have eyes to see. If that cell was being controlled through guilt and shame by the hand cell for not being a hand, the poor larger organism would have too many hands and no eyes. In the same way, in love, all beings are expressive of the truth of their own essence and nature. We know our nature and essence by our hearts. The heart speaks only the truth of who we are. The heart knows who we are and what our needs are. The heart is our portal of love. When we look at another with the eyes of love, we want them to be continually discovering who they are, so they can continually express their ever-growing and changing self. We want to learn and grow from their expression. We want to know them by their expression. We don't care if that makes us feel safe or comfortable or is aligned with the way we have always seen things. We don't care if it's aligned with our belief systems that have sheltered us from being challenged to grow for so long. We want to grow through the awareness of another, and we want the other to grow through their awareness of us and through their awareness of us seeing them. This is true love. This is the key that unlocks the depths of what our souls are truly longing for. All humans who have ever lived and who ever will live share in the same desire. It is our sovereign right and duty to reclaim our essential nature and choose to be the presence of only love. So, for all of you, when you look in the mirror and judge yourself for your, quote, imperfections, I want you to remember this. You are the most profoundly intricate, complex, awe-inspiring, intriguing, stunningly beautiful, actively creative entity in existence. You are the genius of the universe, the generative movement of life, the creative expression of the galaxy in form. In fact, all things are both particles and waves, and humans are not an exception to this. Humans in particle form are what we see with our eyes, but humans in wave form are entire star systems. This means that each one of us is a star system as well as a human body. If we were only in wave form, we would be far too vast and bright to learn to play and grow with each other in relationship. So we express ourselves in particle form in order to engage and enmesh and relate to each other. What star system has ever looked on itself with contempt because it's not attractive enough? When we look at the whole big picture, the idea is laughable, ridiculous even. We have been taught for so long that we're small and insignificant, but that couldn't be further from the truth. We are vast beyond comparison, and there is nothing in the actively creative universe that is more brilliant than the human. We encompass the highest and the lowest of all states in our body-mind form. We are like H2O, in that we are a different consistency based on our vibrational frequency or, quote, temperature. We can think of our physical form or particle form like ice, in that we are crystallized into physicality. And we can think of our waveform, our star system self, like spirit, the highest vibration of love in the entire universe. We encompass both the highest frequency of vibration and the lowest in our body minds. If you'd like to hear more about vibration and frequency and the truth of our beingness, please let me know in the comments and I'll make a video discussing it. For now, the most important thing to know is that the longing for something indescribable, that longing for home, that what is called in German Sehnsucht, that longing for I know not what, is the truth of your beingness. You are the vastness of the mystery of the eternal in form. All you have dreamed but not dare admit, even to yourself, about the vastness of yourself is all true. It is the truth of who you are. There is nobody in the entire universe that has the power to contradict the truth of who you are. So align yourself with the truth of who and what you are and flow only that. Do not let anybody tell you, bully you, or program you to believe yourself to be anything less. Be in the world of form and shine the light of the star system that you truly are. Be your particle physical self and flow wave, your spirit star system self. This is the true meaning of being love in form, of being divinity in form. Go out into the world and shine. I love you all so much, and I hope to see and experience all of you blazing so bright in this world that the darkness and psychological prisons that seem so real right now are drowned out by the brilliance of the stars as we walk this world shining brighter than the noonday sun. So much love to all of you. So thank you all for listening to that. I have so much more to say on it, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I left off all the important stuff. So there's so much to say on this subject. I mean, it's about human freedom, and it's about control, and it's something that is painful that we all live with, and nobody's exempt from these feelings of feeling that they're not good enough, and that the eyes of society and the eyes of people around us are looking at us and judging us, and people are. And like I said in my like what I was reading, it's something that we're all trained to do. It's like I said, it's like a surveillance state. We're trained to judge. We're trained to judge from the time that we're born, but that's not our nature. We're not meant to judge. We're meant to accept and love and be curious and receive and grow from and be in relationship to other people. And the only way you can be in relationship, true relationship, is when you are in a state of love, when you're looking with the eyes of love. There is no relationship on this whole planet between two people or more that can ever last if it's based on anything other than true love. If two people are looking at each other and judging each other, well, we know what those relationships look like. They're not fulfilling. It's more like narcissistic abuse and codependency and all the stuff that we don't want. And so few of us have ever experienced or witnessed relationships that are real, where two people or more, friends, family members, lovers, whatever, siblings, where we can look at each other and just see each other and just want each other to be more of who we are, where we're not sizing each other up or comparing ourselves or, any of that stuff that's so painful. And we call it objectification, and that's what it is. But at the same time, we all do it. It's like the only way that anyone operates. So I guess what I really want to teach on my channel and in this talk and in everything is that there's another way to be, where we don't have to look at the world and judge and shame and guilt and size things up and try to assert our opinion or our perspective over other people. But instead, we just sit back and we receive. We just receive the world. We receive people as they are. We receive things as they are. We embrace things and we just accept things, and we're curious and we're eager to learn, and we're not casting judgment. We're just receiving and learning. And that is love. That's true love. And your life experience is so different when you do that, and so are your relationships. It's like the difference between I don't, it's the difference between being genuinely happy or satisfied, like, you know, when you're really, really hungry and somebody gives you a very satisfying meal, you have like a chicken noodle soup or something, or a miso that just is so satisfying and wonderful, versus you're really, really hungry and somebody brings you like M&Ms or something that just makes you feel kind of sick, you know. And that's a kind of a sorry example. It's pretty pale, but anyway, it's the best I could come up with right now. The point is that in true love, when you look at people and when they look at you with the eyes of acceptance and receptivity and learning and just seeing and embracing and holding, then what happens is you feel satisfied and you have love move and flow through, and it's an entire vibration. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that is so much more satisfying than even food or sex or water or any of those things can feel. Those are just those are wonderful, but they're like more like symbols of the real thing, the real satisfaction, which is the flow of love, the flow of spirit. Which when you have that flow of love and spirit, you actually are okay if you don't eat or drink. It's amazing. So because that's our true nature, and because we're truly spirit, we're spirit and body. That's what I mean about being a particle and wave. And I know that that's kind of a whole talk in itself, and I wouldn't expect that that's going to make a lot of sense to most people just right off the bat like that. But it's the way it is. All things are both particle and wave, and it's the same for humans. So in our bodies, we're particle, but in our spirits, we're star systems. That's our wave. When we're wave, we're star systems. And so if we can tap into the truth of what we are and our inner being and the truth of the vastness of the actuality of what we are, then we would never care what anybody else thinks of us, ever. And we would never train our children from birth to believe that they are supposed to be forming themselves and changing themselves to fit other people's expectations. But we would see that what's in front of us, every single human being, is something that is so vast, that is here to teach, and is so sacred. We would look at each other as sacred. We'd look at all things as sacred, because that's reality. Everything is sacred, and we're sacred, every one of us. So here we are in our particle form and in physicality, and let's tune in with and align with our star system self and bring that light and that radiance into form and truly live the most exalted and sacred and blessed lives that is possible for a human being, which is something that we haven't really experienced, because none of us on this planet has really attained it. There have been a few masters throughout the ages, but not too many, and there's more to come. And those of us that are here right now have just as much, if not more, I would say more capacity to bring in more divinity onto this earth. And so let's just get past this caring, like seeing ourselves through the eyes of judgment and the eyes of what we've been trained to see, but instead let's see each other through the eyes of love. And to our children, let's raise our children to teach us about them, because that's the difference. We're not here to train our children. We're here to learn them, to see them, and to grow from them. We want them to express who they are, because they're showing us something that we don't know already, and we're going to miss it. If they don't teach it to us, we're never going to learn it. And so let's just let children eat when they're hungry, sleep when they're tired, and show us who they are. And let's do that with all people, and especially ourselves. And every one of us, we must learn to listen to our bodies, listen to our hearts, and do what we're called to do on the inside, not what everyone around us is telling us to do, or because of the guilt and the shame we have inside, because we're supposed to be different, we're supposed to be better, we're supposed to be at the top of the hierarchy, and whatever nonsense. We just need to let that go already. So this is my impassioned speech about appearance that I've been really wanting to talk about, because I can't tell you how many people have come to me lately and they're hurting, genuinely hurting in a very big way. And I hope this has helped. I really hope this has helped, and at least maybe open up a conversation or some new ideas or some thoughts. Share your comments below. I would love to have a conversation. Also, you can see in my description my email, and if you want to have any conversation privately or just talk about some of this, feel free to email me. I also offer sessions, which you can see in the description as well. I'm an energy healer, and I would love to work with anybody who is feeling called to work with me. So I love you all so much, and namaste.